and welcome to Just One More Thing. I'm your host, Janessa, and this is a podcast about knitting and crafting. And my last intro got interrupted by some very loud laughing next door. I have all my windows open in my house because for August it is amazingly nice outside. August in Missouri is typically pretty hot and humid and ugh. But today it's, well, for the past week actually, it's been really cool. Like maybe we get up into the low 80s every day. So that means like lots of kids outside playing, which means a quiet house, which mama loves. Also means it's just like I can actually kind of start wearing some wool on the podcast again, which is nice. So I hope you had a wonderful week. I had a very productive one. And other than it being cool, you may be wondering, like, why am I wearing so much wool on today's podcast? It's because these are things that are FOs from this week. This week, I cast on 2 brand new things and finished them both before you ever got to see them on the needles. That's exciting. That's really exciting to me. And I also got other knitting done too. So it's not like these were the only 2 things. It's not like these are the only 2 things I'm going to be able to talk about this week. I actually got a lot done. So, I mean, it's probably not going to look like a lot when I talk about it. It's probably going to be like an under 30-minute podcast, but still, that's a lot of knitting in 1 week when the kids are home from summer. Okay, let's get started. So, the first one that I'm going to show you, you actually saw last week. It was finished-ish. It had come off the needles. It hadn't been blocked, and I hadn't put the tassels on it yet. But the coffee shop wrap is now done, and it now has tassels. So, I don't know if I can do like a side-by-side shot of like, this is how it looked last week. Maybe I'll find a screenshot to throw up here. Probably not. This is how it looks this week. You can just tell that it's more open and drapey and, I don't know, nicer looking. I'm still not like 100% sold on the tassels. I wasn't able to do the little loop thing that I wanted to do. I ended up having to just tie them on. Best laid plans and all that. I don't know, maybe I'm just not a tassel-y kind of gal. I can't decide if I like them or not. It looks too plain without something. It needed something to finish it off. But I don't know if tassels was the way to go. Oh well, they're on there now, and if the recipient doesn't like them, they can always cut them off. So I'm just going to leave it like it is. Sorry, my nails got a little snagged edge on it, and it's really bothering me. And I don't have any clippers nearby to fix it. So that's 100% finished FO coffee shop wrap. Ready to go to its recipient. The next one I'll show you is this one on my head. Was that a sufficient look at it, or should I take it off and risk you seeing how crazy my actual hair looks when it's not fixed? We're gonna risk it. Don't look at my hair. Don't look at it. It is in desperate need of a cut. Like my little scraggly bits need, and my haircut's not appointment isn't until next week, so I'm covering it up with knitwear. So just here, we'll just look at this side. I'll show you the crazy side until I put this back on. So this cute little headband is leaves. Do you see the leaves? Um, um, sorry about that. So yes, the headband. I I have a thing for leaves. They're kind of like my favorite thing. Um, I've always found something like really calming, like just like relaxing, and like it takes all the worries and stress away. If you can just like take 5 minutes and stare into a treetop and watch the leaves fluttering around in a breeze. Um, it's just there's a little something magical about it. And I mean, I sound like a crazy tree lady or something. I don't know. But I love trees and leaves especially. I also find something very, very pleasing about the symmetry of leaves. So when it comes to knitting and lace patterns, like I can't hardly pass up a knitting pattern that has leaves in it. They just kind of get me right here. And I just have to knit them. I was sorting through Ravelry patterns the other day, and every once in a while, like I always kind of check out the what's hot patterns, and if there's something really specific I'm looking for, I use the search engines and stuff in Ravelry. But I always like to try to go and see what's new, because sometimes you can get like newly launched patterns at a discount, or it's just maybe kind of see something and get to knit it before anyone else knits it. Do you ever get that feeling that sometimes you're only knitting the things that everybody else has knit? I get that feeling sometimes. Um, so yeah, it's kind of nice to get the patterns when they're brand new up on Ravelry, and when they don't have a lot of, other people having knit them. Like, you kind of get to start the trend. It's weird, I know, but it's what I do. So this was a brand new pattern on Ravelry the other day. It had leaves in it. It was gray. It was perfect. Um, and it was only $1. So I was like, well, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. And immediately, and this I hardly ever do, like I will buy a pattern and then I'll take my time looking for just the perfect yarn to knit it in. But this one, no, I pretty much just reached down into my bag of scraps that I have on hand for when I'm crocheting on my scrappy blanket. And it was the, I don't know if we can see any in here. That gray right there for my Joji wrap. Same gray. It's the Knit Picks Imagination in Castle Walls. I think I knit it on size 5s. The pattern called for 6. But I think her yarn was maybe like of a more lacy gauge, like a very light fingering. This is more of a fuller bodied fingering yarn. So mine looks a little bit bigger. Like, I don't think I got gauge. And honestly, going back, I can't remember if the pattern listed gauge. Surely it would have. I don't know. But I'm looking at my finished object and the author's finished object, I'm pretty sure my gauge was off. But it fits around my really big head, so that works. And I don't mean big head by like inflated ego. I mean like I have an abnormally large size head. Hat's never. People are like, oh, this is a woman's like normal size head hat. I'm like, no, I need like, I've got a fat head. I don't know how else to say it. So anyway, it fits, and I really, really love it. And I have been wearing it like this to kind of contain the messiness of my hair before I get it cut. But I also have worn it the other way around and like tied it down so that it like goes over, and that looks really pretty too. It's just however you want to wear it. is versatile. Versatile is good. So that's that finished object. And then this yarn you have seen before. We talked about it a couple podcasts ago when I got back from Colorado. So this is the yarn that I picked up at Fancy Tiger when I was out in Colorado. Pause for a second while I see if I can find the tags. Okay, I could not find the tags. Sorry, and the camera may be like really off now. I don't know. So before my long interruption, which is no interruption to you guys because it's just gonna like seamlessly meld together when I edit. I was talking about my new shawl, which I cannot find the tags for. But this is the yarn that I got from Fancy Tiger when I went out to Colorado. And basically this project has been a really good exercise in gauge, is what it boils down to. Because I used 3 yarns. This one and this one are both Quince & Company Owl. And this one, you can like completely see me through, is Brooklyn Tweed Loft. All 3, and this is why I was trying to find the tags. If I find them, I'll put the info like here at the bottom. All 3 were listed as fingering weight yarns. These 2, the rose colors, were both Owl yarn. Like that was the type of Quince & Co. It was Quince & Co. Owl. Pretty sure they were the same fiber content. I'm going to double check to make sure, but and then this one was also, it was the Loft. It was from Brooklyn Tweed. All 3 were listed as fingering weights. I can see that there would be a difference between the Quince & Co. fingering and the Brooklyn Tweed fingering. Like that, totally, I understand. However, there's also a difference between this Quince & Co. Owl and this Quince & Co. Owl. You can see me through. Like that one is pretty dense. This one, you can see a lot more light through it. You can almost see me through it. This one, you can definitely see me through it. I knit this in a course of a day-ish and a half. So my gait, like my looseness of knitting did not change at all. The needle didn't change at all. The yarns are different. Even after washing and blocking, like this one, it feels a lot more dense and it feels a lot more rough. And you can see the kind of, like, I don't have a pet in the house. So that's like all halo off of the yarn. See those big, almost looks like guard hairs? So it's a little more rustic feeling. This one still has a little bit of a halo, but not nearly as much. It's a lot finer and it feels a lot softer. Like there was a huge difference between these 2 yarns from the exact same company. So I was a little surprised by that. They're not bad yarns by any means. I would probably buy them again, like for a project that I needed a really rustic yarn for. But had I ordered these online and gotten this big of a difference, I would have been a little shocked. And I didn't notice the difference in the skein when I felt the skein. I didn't notice it until I knitted up, that there was a difference in the way that this yarn felt knitting up and the way this yarn felt knitting up. It was very different. Of the 3, personal preference, I liked the Brooklyn Tweed the best. It also had the most yardage in it, and so I kind of wish I would have started the shawl out in this instead of ending it in this. But overall, I'm really, really happy with the shawl. And, yep, I don't want to show. I'm really happy with that color blocking effect on it. The pattern that I used, let me put this on again. There's that tail that I couldn't find earlier. Sticking right out for all the world to see. So the pattern I used came from my Making number 3 magazine. It was called the Indigo Sea Shawl. There's the big picture of it. There you go. So it was called the Indigo Sea Shawl by Carrie Bostic Hodge. And basically the reason I used this pattern was because it was the exact yardage of the yarn that I had. Simple. And it had like the 3 kind of gradient colors like this one had. Like it had a light, medium, and a dark. Light, medium, dark. On Saturday, I had a vendor event for 31 that I was working. Ended up not being a great day to have a vendor event outside because it was raining most of the day. So not many shoppers. I cast this on just so I would have something that I didn't have to look at to keep my hands busy while, you know, I stood there waiting for people to stop by and say hello and browse. I got so much of it done because it rained all day and nobody stopped by to say hi and browse. Sad. But it meant I got a lot of knitting done, so yay. There's a bright side to everything, right? So this was a very mindless garter stitch. You know, you didn't really have to pay a whole lot of attention. There's this little eyelet row down one side that's really easy to keep track of. The increase was, you know, a knit front and back, super easy to keep track of. So it was super, super mindless, kind of like the coffee shop wrap. It was a really nice one just to have on hand and not have to pay a lot of attention to. I love it. I did add, the pattern did not call for the picot bind off that I did. But I felt it needed a little something, and I wasn't going to have enough yarn to do tassels. And tried tassels for myself, you know, for a shawl that I would wear. So I just felt like the little picot edge, and there goes the sun in the clouds. It got really dark all of a sudden. It's not your computer screen. It's totally my weather. So I just felt like the really subtle picot edge helped. And basically I would cast on 2 and cast off 5. So there's like, you know, 3 stitches in between each toothy bit. So it wasn't like too bunched up, but just enough to kind of give it a nice little, you know, a nice little border right there. So those are my finished objects for the week. And it feels like that's the majority of the knitting that I got done was FOs. Not surprisingly. However, I did get other knitting done. Most of it has been on my Free Your Fade shawl, which I have been diligently plugging away at. I even knit on it some today while I was waiting for the kids to decide to go outside and play. I find if I let them decide to go outside and play, they stay out there a lot longer than if I tell them they have to go outside and play. Oh, I wish the sun would come back. Got really super cloudy. That's okay. You can still see. Gotta hold on to the edge because this one likes to fall off the needles, you know. So as you can see, I got quite a bit more green knit up. Last time you saw it, like I had just like barely gotten to maybe this next eyelet row. We were still quite a bit. This is all that you've seen before. The maroon, the green, or the teal, turquoise, and now the green. And you can see the little pops of pink that are going to be showing up in the next color. So this one is just coming along row by row. This is all the green I have left, which actually is quite a bit because it's single. But as the rows get longer, like you eat up more yarn with each row, so that's nice. It's coming along quite quickly. And then we just have to do the pink. So another week of free or fade, hand spun style. I've decided that I'm going to keep it on these straights, even though I have to be super careful with them falling off the end of the needle, because I mean, that doesn't bug me. They're not coming off the end, and I've still got quite a ways. Now, if I had it this bunched up and they were like to here, I would probably consider trying to like go out and buy a longer needle, but I don't know. I get the feeling that I'll be able to finish them on this one, so I'm gonna. Random question. Super, super random. Does anyone recognize this needle? Like, who makes them? They've got a nice little like square tip with the numbering on them. They're metal, but they're like coated in plastic. Like it's not, they're coated in something. I don't know. Does anyone, I got these in a kit that I ordered off of Etsy. I can't find the maker of them anymore. Like she doesn't have a shop anymore. So I don't know where she bought the needles from. I imagine if she was including them in a kit, like a knit this little toy animal kit that came with everything you needed, including the needles, I imagine that they aren't super expensive needles, but I've never, like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, knitting shops, everywhere I've looked, I've never been able to find these needles, but I kind of love them. Like, as far as straights go and as far as metal goes, I typically knit with wood needles, but these, I don't know, they're like, they're not too hard on my hands, they're easy to see the stitches on, and they're slippery enough, but not like too slippery. They don't have the same problems that I have with metal needles, like especially when I'm knitting acrylic for charity work. They don't squeak as bad as metal needles do. I don't know. I'd like to get some more pairs of them. I just don't know what kind of needles they are. Like I said, really random. Next up is something that you saw last week that I talked about, and that is now off my needles again. It was planned and then it was on and now it's off again. I did tear out my mom's cardigan that I was working on. So you saw this all knit up last week and now it's back in ball form. The math on this one, I don't know if I'm just not confident enough with the math or what to cast it on again, but I've got 3 different possible cast on lengths to try. And after much debate, I think I'm going to try like the middle number and kind of like split the difference between the other two numbers that I came up with math-wise. I don't know. I never did get the answer I needed over on the Ravelry board. So I don't, maybe there's just not an answer to that question. I might try emailing the designer directly. I know that's kind of a pain for the designers, I'm sure, but we'll see. But yeah, I think I've finally got the math figured out. So maybe you'll see this one back on the needles again next week. I have also been spinning a little bit, but there's, I mean, it's not a lot different looking than what you saw last week. It's still white and grayish yarn on a bobbin. So maybe we'll see that finished. I don't even have the bag within reach. Like, it's way over there. I'd have to do quite a bit of digging to get the bag out. I never did decide whether or not I should do the mystery fade along with Andrea Mowry. Is it Andrea Mowry? Yeah. I think I'm just gonna, like, I favorited the project. I'm just gonna hold off and wait and see how the actual pattern looks before I decide to invest that much yarn into it. Because I used up quite a bit on my Joji wrap, and that was about the same amount, the same yardage, you know, 6 skeins worth of yarn. And I couldn't find anything in my stash that really floated my boat. So I think I'll just hold off on that one. There's a couple other, you know, mystery type ones coming up here in the fall that I might work on, but we'll see. Another one that kind of has me intrigued is called Woman Makes Her Own Arrows. I'll put the links in the show notes. It's almost like this one, construction wise, where you're knitting it, where this one you knit until the points met and then you knit out. This one you knit the 2 triangles this way and work out that way. So I'm thinking about giving that one a try. Her knit along is more of like a inspiration along though, because she doesn't really she gives suggestions and basic, like, you know, knit 2 triangles, try to work towards this many stitches. Like, she doesn't give specific, so everyone's is going to kind of, it's more of like a recipe for how to make a shawl instead of an actual design. So it'll be kind of neat seeing how everyone else's knits up, but I'm kind of determined to get some of the stuff off my needles before I start knitting on that, because I am still working towards Stash Dash. This puts me a little bit closer. I can't remember how many yards it puts me closer, but it does get me a little bit closer there. I really want to finish up the spinning for the Hedwig colorway from the Once Upon a Corgi, the Falkland that I'm working on, and the Free Your Fade, because those are both like huge meter numbers, to kind of get me closer to that goal. So anyway, super short episode. I was just kind of happy that I had so many FOs done. Let's see, next week is probably going to be like another kind of normalish week. The week after that, the week of like the 21st, I'm going to be podcasting late. It'll be like probably that Wednesday or something. The reason being, the kids go back to school on the 23rd. So, the 22nd would be my normal day for podcasting, a Tuesday. But since that's like the last day before the kids go back to school, I want to do something kind of fun with them. We are going to be going on a fun little family adventure, not far, just down the road to, we have a national wildlife refuge nearby, and we're going to go there and do some hiking for the solar eclipse and do some fun activities with the kids for the solar eclipse. So that'll be fun. And then we have like back to school night, and then we got like the day before they go back to school, so that's like setting out all their clothes for the week and, you know, making sure their backpacks are packed and all that, you know, fun back to school stuff. But once I get them on the bus for school on that Wednesday, I'll have like a super quiet house. I'll be able to like really take my time and prepare a really good episode. So that week will be a little late. Anyway, I don't have anything more to ramble about, so I'm gonna let you go. And hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you come back next week, even though this one was super short and maybe a little bit boring. But anyway, happy knitting this week, and we'll see you again very soon.